Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first virtual dinner with the devs with Shell Games. This is our April edition that we are covering until you fall. We just had a update, point 0.5 update, so we're gonna get a chance to talk about that. We just released the original soundtrack, the awesome Sword Wave soundtrack for Until You Fall. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and along with all the other questions that you may have about the team. Just some housekeeping. Any questions that you have, please use the live chat. Our lovely moderators will be there answering your questions and sending your questions to me for the team to answer. If you haven't already as well, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get a chance to see what other fun videos, interviews, playthroughs, and all those sorts that we get a chance to add to the channel. So first, we'll introduce ourselves. I'll go first, and then we'll go with Dave, Joey, and then Jesse. But I'm Dwayne. I'm on the marketing team for Shell Games.
I'm Dave. I'm a senior designer at Schell Games, and I am the project director of Until You Fall.
I'm Joey. I'm a sound designer at Shell Games, and I was one of the sound designers on Until You Fall.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Yeah. Hi, I'm Jesse, CEO at Shell Games.
Cool. So first, we'll just address the elephant in the room, or not in the room, the virtual elephant. We are all working from home. We are away from our lovely office in the Station Square in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So how is everybody doing?
My house is kind of falling apart a little bit. I don't know.
Dave, that's a lovely home you have.
Well, thank you. Seen better days, but an unknown calamity has. Anyway, I mean, I think for the most part, it's been okay. I think there's definitely weirder parts. I've described it as. I know when it first started, it was kind of like this horrible monkey's paw curse of, oh man, I wish I had less meetings, and then the paw closes and now no one can have meetings physically. But I think after kind of the initial adjustment period, it took about like a week or two for our team. We actually were able to kind of get back into the swing of things pretty quickly. So we were pretty fortunate there. I don't know how Joey or you, Jesse, have you been feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot to deal with. Fortunately, I think we were out ahead of it a little bit because we were looking at what was coming and thought, wow, we better really a little bit get on the stick because normally we were looking at what was coming. Working from home isn't much of a normal get on the Shell Games thing. Normally, we were so much about face-to-face communication and contact. But we were looking at this and realized, wow, we better get our act together because this could be coming. And so the IT team jumped on it, tried to get everybody doing it. And it's a big cultural change for us in terms of managing things. But really, I think everybody's adapted to it very well, considering. I mean, we're lucky to be in an industry where working from home is largely possible.
Yep, definitely. I think after that initial kind of culture shock of working from home, which was definitely minimized by the studio because they were like ahead of it, and everybody was kind of prepared for it. Coming up with new ways, the audio team and most of the teams at Shell are very collaborative. So coming up with new ways to review each other's work and still get that feedback from each other that we really, really love to have after settling those kind of processes, settling in a lot here at home.
Yeah, using Slack is something that took a little bit of getting used to for a lot of folks on the team, but it's now actually become kind of second nature. And I actually hope that when this is all over, actually, finally, please God, let it end. That that we can still carry some of these Slack habits forward, because there are things that we're kind of picking up through our time working from home that are really useful and really good habits to have.
Totally. And as a sound designer at Shell, I'm split across multiple projects. So I'm in a few different teams here and there. And there's been this transparency that's evolved that wasn't purposefully, evaded before, but just with this kind of like constant stream of consciousness almost amongst the team in the Slack channels, you're seeing like a lot more kind of open communication in just different ways that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah, like I think with the teams just being so collaborative and similar to you, Joey, the marketing team, we're touching multiple projects at a time. And you have to have more communication. Like you just have to. You don't have that happenstance, presence that you're both on the stairs. Like, oh, I've been meaning to email you, right? So to be able to be more, intentional with your communication, whether it's Slack or Hangouts or whatever project management tool that you're using. I think working from home has really put that more in front of everybody. So cool. So speaking of, your team was able to get into the swing of things and release this point 0.5 update. Uh, what was and we can go a little bit. How much did the timeline change from what you initially thought of releasing the point 0.5 update to all of this happening to getting it out just just last week, I think?
Yeah, it was Thursday.
Couple whatever last week was. Yeah.
To anywhere from 1 day to 15,000 years ago. Yeah, I mean, so we were originally kind of shooting for end of March was kind of the original target. And then it was around that time, maybe a week or two before that, we were realizing, oh, we might have to start working from home. And so we were lucky in that we had done a lot of the hard work ahead of time. And so that at that point, we were kind of in QA and kind of buttoning up the last bits. 4.5. So I guess I want to say it was like a 2 to 3 week kind of shove back. And again, it was kind of like we were waiting, seeing to see how much working from home, how long it would take to get everything set up. But like Jesse said, the IT team are a bunch of rock stars and got everything going real fast. But there's that, and then there's also just figuring out like, hey, are we going to be able to push builds the way we normally do from home? Like, is SVN going to work? There's a lot of questions that we had to figure out, just logistically, that ended up, slowing things down a little bit, but not as much as I was worrying about.
Cool. Yeah, and I think you Jesse, you could jump in too. Like, what are
Yeah.
sort of hurdles did multiple teams have to overcome, or does studio management have to overcome from shifting, just our rapid development process in the studio that Shell Games has gotten so accustomed to doing, to putting that all remotely?
A lot of it was figuring out communication channels. Some meetings kind of translate well to online, others less well, and then some you need to do differently. Like today, we did a big brainstorming meeting, and normally for us, that's all about whiteboards and sticking cards on the board and sticking post-its on the board, and like, okay, wait a minute, how are we gonna try and do this like a brainstorming meeting with 20 people in it? And we want everybody to kind of contribute ideas and talk about ideas and vote on each other's ideas. And so we tried some experiments with like a Trello board, and it seemed like that worked pretty well. So it's a lot of little experiments, and I think really important has just been kind of checking in on people. That's, I think, the hardest part, is that a lot of communication requires a lot of double checking now, because it used to be you just kind of walk by somebody and you like, oh, they seem like they're doing okay, so you kind of know they're doing okay. But now you don't walk by somebody, you don't know, like, how's everybody doing? Is everybody doing all right? And especially in this time when some people are struggling a little bit, they got some family issue going on, or they're freaking out because of the way the situation is. And so lots of checking, lots of double checking. Fortunately, as a studio, we're in a really stable place, and so that's good. So we're able to reassure everybody about that, so people don't have to worry about that. And then on top of it, we've got to do, so the inside the studio stuff is one thing, but then there's a lot of outreach. Now we've got to kind of figure out all that outreach as well, as we're kind of connecting with partners and clients and all those things, and trying to get all that working. So it's just kind of a lot of extra overhead to try and do the things that you would normally ordinarily do. So, but it's okay. The minor plus for us is that people are playing more games and buying more games right now. So a minor silver lining in the situation for us as a game studio.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Like, I think almost week over week, Steam is getting more and more users, onto their platform, just buying and playing games.
Yep.
Cool. So let's see. So back to the point 5 update. Dave, if you want to give us just a overview of some of the bigger things that changed in it, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. Well, let's see. Point 5 was kind of a big quality of life push for just a lot of stuff that we've known about for a while and we've been wanting to fix. So kind of highlight features of this were we added a battle tip system, and here comes my cat. So we added a battle tip system where it kind of gives you hints to some of the more kind of esoteric concepts of the game. Usually when you need them. So when you die, you get a little extra hint about like, oh, this is a weird mechanic that you might not know about, or here's a reminder for something you learned at the tutorial that could be good later on. Speaking of the tutorial, we did a lot of work just kind of tuning and kind of, again, continuing to smooth that out. We've had the benefit of watching a lot of people play through the first time experience by going to a variety of conventions that, aren't happening right now. But we had a lot of great data from that and seeing where players were getting stuck or confused. And so we basically took that information and did a lot of nice iterations there. One of the other, big things that it really shouldn't have been this big, but I'm glad we finally did it, is you can now define whether you're left-hand dominant when you create a profile. So you can put your sword in the left hand. So hooray for that. But then on top of that, it's a lot of other stuff. Like my focus this update was updating most of the text. So all the traits, all the augments, the tutorials, everything like that was not only had a clarity pass and consistency pass, but we also did a lot of work to try to highlight key terms so that important game concepts are trying to, pop out a little bit more and a little more easy to understand. Because again, seeing a wall of text in VR is always kind of rough. And so we're looking for ways to try to break up the monotony of that. And yeah, obviously the other thing too is the soundtrack. Where we did a lot of work of remastering the soundtrack, and then we did an audio balance pass based off the new remastered OST. And there's a variety of other balance tweaks and changes. We actually did rename all the difficulty levels, so based off of what we were seeing in analytics and playtests. And Patrick sent out a great survey what feels like years ago, but I think it was like in February.
I want to say mid to late February.
Yeah, that sounds right. And we got a lot of great feedback about that. Not only about like, hey, here are the ways that the game could be easier or harder, but like perceptions and opinions of like, yeah, it felt bad that I was playing on normal. And so we kind of took a hard look at, all right, well, what do we intend? Like, this is a hard game, so how can we communicate that? So relabeling those difficulties to be more communicative of what our expectations of what the player should be feeling is, again, small thing, but I think already we're seeing a kind of an increase in, I don't know, players being willing to just pick the difficulty that sounds right to them rather than feeling like they have to pick the normal one because it's normal.
Right, because now it's relaxed, challenging, and relentless.
Yep, and then nightmare is still nightmare.
Nightmare is still nightmare because nightmares don't change, folks.
Yep, no nightmare. No, nightmare was the rock solid roof. I don't know how houses work, obviously. I mean, look at this place.
Yeah, that's right. Is it a cave? What is it? I don't know.
I don't know. There's this crystal. She keeps talking to me.
Yeah, that's right. Telling me to do things. Move forward.
She keeps trying to get me to this portal, and this fire is glowing. It's blue. I don't know. It can't be good.
Yeah, that's right. Good stuff. Let's see. Okay, so we got some questions coming in. Steven. Well, actually, we'll hold Steven's question. We'll get to you, Steven. Believe me, we'll get to you. I do want to move. Let's move to KK. KK from Twitter asks, "Love the game. Are there any plans to add new weapons? Any hints to what they might be?" So, any plans to add more weapons or new weapons? Any hints to what they might be? I know that there's been a lot of talk about what kind of weapons there could be. So I guess maybe walk through what that brainstorm is, what the things the studio likes, and maybe we can go from there.
Sure. Yeah, right now we are focusing on trying to get a 1.0 kind of like solid version of the game. So right now, like, new weapons really aren't something we're focusing on, but we do want to add more content to the game because like we are excited about what the potential is there. I know stuff that we've definitely talked about is like two-handed weaponry. Really, whenever we're talking about weapons or looking to add cool stuff to this game, we're trying to figure out, hey, how does it, what play styles does it support, and how does it contribute to kind of the melee combat focused experience that we've built. So I can kind of talk through, like, with shields, which is one that comes up a lot. We've tried to figure out, it's like, okay, in our game where we have a lot of very specific premonitions that you need to block, how does a shield fit into that system? And so for now, it's kind of like, I don't know. It would make it too easy. If the shield broke all the time, that's kind of lame. That didn't feel quite right. And so it's basically, we're trying to step through, like, hey, how does this make the player feel? How does this, what does this let the player do? And does it let them do the things that we think are important for the experience? And so shields was kind of something that we still want to figure out. And I think we can figure out. We just didn't have the time to really spend to focus on it just yet. Ranged weapons is another example of something like, yeah, that'd be cool, but how does ammunition work? In a game where you're supposed to be up in an enemy's face at all times, a ranged weapon kind of encourages you to do the opposite. Again, these are solvable problems, but it's the kind of thing where it's like, okay, well, at first blush, this seems like it introduces or encourages play behavior or play patterns that I don't know, aren't conducive to what makes Until You Fall feel good. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Can I give you some weapon pitches, Dave?
All right, go ahead.
All right,
I'm listening.
What do you think?
Okay. All right, what do you call it?
I don't know.
Well, it needs a cool name.
The cheese grater knife.
Okay, but that doesn't like what? But do the Rokari have cheese? Is that
yes,
canon?
They
Okay.
do.
Okay. Is it a blue cheese? Like what kind of cheese is their favored?
Yes, I don't know.
So where did you find that, Jesse?
Yeah.
That's another matter. Okay, wait, I got another pitch for you. How about that?
Emperor Chef written all over it.
How about this? There you go. Hatchet.
Okay, that's just a straight cleaver.
Cleaver, yes.
Yeah.
The cleaver of clasping.
That's all right.
No,
What's its super?
Its super is something bone oriented.
Okay. Like
I don't know what that is. It hits your skeleton with a lightning bolt.
Okay, that's not where I thought I was gonna go, but you know what? I'm in.
Something like that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Isn't that Mjolnir?
Yeah, right.
Thor's
no, we
hammer.
can't say that.
Yeah.
All right, I got one.
Might be a problem.
More pitch. One more
All right.
pitch. You ready?
Yeah, slightly problematic. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
This I'm into. So do you think would it spin? Or like is it just kind of like the stationary like it is now?
No, so it's stationary normally, but its super is it spins out there.
Okay.
But it doesn't come back. You only do it once.
No boomerang feature.
Then you're just stuck with this stick.
Yeah.
You got to do the whole rest of the level.
You
It'll come
gotta
back.
fishing rod it back in.
It'll come back at the end of the room. So.
Yeah. The level 4 version of the super, that's what makes a boomerang sometimes.
Right. That's right. Because normally you got to go pick it up.
Yeah.
If you don't catch it, it just slices you in half. You gotta catch it.
Right. Yeah, and then whenever it's
back, and if you don't catch it, it cuts your head up.
You lose your head, and then in VR we take control of the camera and just have it flop around.
Yeah.
You just fall to the ground and you just stare at the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like a indicator, like if it was swinging back, you have to put it in the right place.
Right. Yeah. You get a blocking premonition to reslot the.
You got to catch it on the handle.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. So this is all going to be in the game now. Thanks, Jesse.
That's all canon. That's all.
Yeah, it's all canon.
Yeah. These are all announcements for what's going into the game today.
Zero one coming at you.
Surprise!
By Friday.
Yeah.
So,
what day is it? All right. Yeah.
Yeah. No. What day is it? Yeah. So speaking of weapons or favorite weapons, what are your we can go around. What are some of your favorite weapon builds of just playing the game?
Ooh.
We'll start with Joey. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's do it.
Big curved guy, Arcanist Blade and Ritual Dagger.
Okay.
Big curved sword. Yeah. I'm light on my feet. I'm here, then I'm there. That's how I play.
All right.
What about you, Jesse?
The curve. Let's see. Man, so I've mixed it up a lot. I like to pick all kinds of different pairs. Lately I've been doing the of course now I got to remember the name of everything. I'm really
pop quiz.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna fail.
Actually, I memorized that before going to DreamHack because I don't know them by their game name. I know them by like their
asset name.
Yeah, asset name.
Yeah. I often use the Duelist's Edge. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
The pointy guy with combined with the grippy guy, the
Amulet or the Gauntlet?
The Gauntlet.
So the Night-Blooded Aegis.
Yes. That's a common combination for me. I like that combination.
You hit real hard with that pointy stick.
Yeah, but you better not lose any health because then
you're done.
Then it's less good. You have all your health, it's really good. It can be really good. So I like that challenge of being able to do everything with one hand. The other one I like is because you get the sucker punch. Right?
Yep.
And so I like to charge in with the sucker punch. Just kind of have that fist out, boom, and then kind of get in there with the Duelist Edge after that.
Okay. So yeah,
I
like. I'm a hard splitter guy. I love the axe. Yeah. I love the axe, and then I like soul burn. So I like using the the Arcanist Blade, right? That has soul burn.
Yeah, there's a Ritual Dagger. I know. I have soul burn in my. I have soul burn in my. Build,
the Ritual Dagger or the Mace, the Vestal's Wrath have soul burn.
Yeah, Ritual Dagger and Heart Splitter with Heart Splitter in my dominant hand.
That's a good combo. I'm trying to do the katans, right? The guitars right now.
Yes. With the Gemini twins or like Stranded and Esper, I think are the two names. But yes, the guitars.
Yes. I've been trying to do those. So that's my new thing. I'm trying to get good at that, man, because the alternating on that, because it's all about the alternating. And then it's not only about the alternating, but it's all about which hand you finished with, right? And so then you find yourself with these like odd, even conversations you're having in your head of like, well, do I want that extra combo? Because now I got to start with my left hand if I'm going to finish with the right hand and get the full alternating. It's like it's definitely this crazy ambidextrous min-maxing that it's a little unusual.
Yeah. Fun fact: the guitars actually did get buffed in this most recent update, so they're even better.
Ooh. Yeah, think I was going to bring that up, but yeah. So that was a big thing for the 0.5. So that's really cool.
Yeah, we did actually buff the Duelist Edge. Spell Search Charm was another big focus for getting that buffed up. We tried to give it kind of more of a clear identity, like the Night-Blooded Aegis. But yeah, we really wanted to kind of lean into that kind of spellcaster fantasy with it, and so we really tried to lean into like, oh, it's it's void touched, it has all this cool stuff. So kind of like the Aegis, you can boop people with it and knock people back, but it also just is all about making your super crazy. Yeah, I really like the High Arcanist Blade and the Spell Search Charm, because it's just being Shard Storm all the time. So you can do some really silly stuff with that. But if I'm feeling more smashy, I'll tend to go with the axe and the gauntlet.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Nice. So follow-up question: dash or no dash? I'm a dashing fiend.
Oh, you got to dash.
You have to dash.
What kind of punk doesn't dash?
I'm just making sure. I got to make sure everybody, we're all the same team here. I'm a dashing fiend.
All right.
So along with the Until You Fall, like the key art t-shirts, there should be like another one, just like, do you even dash, bro?
Yeah, do you dash?
It's pretty good.
Yep.
I want it. That's it. We're making it. You're welcome.
Other announcement: in addition to those 3 weapons we talked about, which I don't even remember at this point.
The cheese knife.
Yeah.
The clever cleaver.
Yeah.
And the
whirligig.
And the whirligig.
That's one of my favorite. When I'm playing with new players or like when we were at DreamHack, that's one of my favorite like kind of pro tips to give new players is like dash in there, mess stuff up, and then start swinging. Like that's one of my favorite pro tips, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like on the Until You Fall About page, it has like all the enemies, like all of their names, and but you go to the Discord or you go to the event, it's like, oh yeah, I like the shield bro, or the like, man, those wizards with the projectiles are really tough.
Yeah.
I love it, but now thankfully we kind of understand what they're talking about. But I think trying to figure out. You put something. Was that another change to some of the? Because I know like the captain Okari Knight. I don't. Is the Spellweaver? Did they get into the game now?
In terms of like their names and stuff, or so we do refer to them in some of the battle tips, and stuff like that. The runesmith Agatha also, whenever you encounter them for the first time, she'll give a little spiel, a little lore dump about those characters, and we'll refer to them by their given names.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I just wanted to double check. Good deal. Let's see. So we got some more. Let's see. Mr. Invisible asks, so he they just beat normal. Is it worth jumping into Nightmare, or is it worth beating Relentless first?
I think it's worth trying Relentless just to get your legs under you, because the jump from normal from challenging to Nightmare is pretty steep. Relentless gives you a good idea of what faster and more relentless, unforgiving enemies are kind of about, because at the higher difficulties, enemies are a lot more aggressive about exchanging turns when they're fighting, so they are less polite about waiting their turn to hit you. So it's I am one that prefers to kind of ease myself into it. I mean, if you want to just jump in there and try it, you can always switch it back. But yeah, I don't know. I'd say start with Relentless, but hey, man, you do you.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a big jump, but
be brave.
Yeah,
brave.
YOLO.
Is
that still a thing? YOLO.
YOLO, yeah. I mean, it's not even really true until you fall, because you live more than once.
Yeah. Infinite times, but
yo Mo. I don't. Sorry.
You only live a whole bunch of times.
Whole bunch of stuff. Yeah.
I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, Yolbot.
Yolbot.
Yolbot. All right, moving on. See, Impatient, one of our Discord loyals, Impatient. They ask, has everyone in the call beaten the game?
Yes.
Ooh.
Calling us out.
Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
So,
yep.
I have.
I have not.
But
well,
I've got great news.
I think I've seen Jesse beat it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's let's see. I beat it on easy. I beat it on normal, or we don't call it normal. We now call challenging.
Challenging.
Yeah.
And I'm now just getting into, all right, I'm going to try. I keep forgetting the new name. What's the new name, Dave?
Relentless.
Yes, I'm now stepping up to Relentless, and I'm actually, what I'm trying to do is I'm doing Relentless, but with the guitars. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. Yeah, I need to because a lot of the times when I'm able to play the game, it's preparing for events and conferences. So I need to get a setup to be able to put more hours into it.
Yeah, by the time you're hitting your groove, we have to kick you out because someone that's in the convention needs to play.
That's right. We're done setting up. Like, oh, I got like 40 minutes and some devs coming. Can we play? It's like, of course.
All right, fine. I guess that's why we're here.
Yeah, that's right.
How dare you?
Fine, I'll do my job.
I'm back at my house.
What?
I'm sorry.
Let's see. Okay, so Impatient asks, and maybe this was a Discord thing. I heard the champions. Oh, that's right. The champions model might be released for Live for the avatars. Do we have a time frame?
We're still looking into it. We're trying to figure out what the best way to do that is. Because with the what we've seen at least, it's hard to get the lighting right, or at least the way we built the model, the lighting kind of looks all goofed up. So we're spending our time trying to figure out how, if we're going to release this, how can we release it in a way that looks good. So TBD at the moment, but it's still definitely something we're tracking.
Good deal. Let's see. We'll get to. Oh, here's Chris's question. How many devs have tried to follow their footsteps for a Monk of Rakar on Nightmare? So first, if you want to explain what the Monk of Rakar build is, and
Sure.
then you already explained about how much of a steep climb from challenging to a Nightmare is. So yeah, just kind of explain the weapon build and what's involved and why that's a tough build.
Sure. So the run that we're talking about, so there's two weapons in the game that we're referring to here. They're not quite weapons, they're kind of offhand armaments. One is the Nightblood Aegis, which is the gauntlet, and the other is the Spellsword's Charm, which is kind of this amulet. And the original intent for these weapons was, it's you have a main weapon in one hand, and this is your offhand, and that's how you fight. But of course, there's two of them in the game, so why not have both? And these are weapons that are unable to block. So because you can't block, and we still want you to be able to survive and play this game, all blocking premonitions are turned into dodges. And so the way that you survive in this mode is bobbing and weaving throughout the entire run, punching people for admittedly very little amount of damage. So it's a very physically taxing way to play this game. And doing it on normal is exhausting, but doing it on Nightmare is just unthinkable, frankly. So the fact that we've had Croesus be able to show us how it's done is ridiculous. So I know for me personally, I've gotten pretty far in normal before either my body gives out or I get killed. I think I don't know if anyone, I'm trying to think of who else is on the team has tried to do it. I mean, I think plenty of people at the studio have been like, oh, no way, I'll try it. And it can't be that hard. And then they're just a sweaty mess by the end. I know my own brother tried to do it because it can't be that hard. And just seeing him kind of like, it's really, it's something. So I don't know about you guys. Have you guys tried the Monk of Rakar?
No. Nothing else for that, but no.
No. No, because oh, go ahead, Jesse.
I was just gonna say one day, but not today.
Maybe not tomorrow.
Yeah,
but one day.
Like watching, Chris is watching your videos of the monk is exhausting in itself. I mean,
I think my favorite thing about it, just in general, for at least everyone that I've seen play the game or has worked on the game, anytime one of those little dodge arrows pops up, everyone suddenly kind of leans to the right. And so it's this weird Pavlovian thing that's been ingrained into us at this point, where if you see the dodge arrow, you just got to lean a little bit to get out of the way. And so I've seen people at the studio too, just when we're doing a demo day or something, we've just seen people kind of go,
the bare minimum.
Yeah, right.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Let's see. So Steven on Twitter did ask, what is the status? I think it's status and timelines for a port to the Oculus Quest.
Ooh, so that's a great question.
Yeah, it's something we're trying to look into. We're looking into the feasibility of trying to port the game to other platforms. Obviously, there's a lot of technical challenges with trying to do that. The biggest being we have a very gorgeous looking game, and so we're trying to figure out how can we make anything look that nice on these other platforms, but also just making sure that the gameplay could still feel as good as it does currently. And so there's a lot of questions we're trying to figure out. It's something we're definitely interested in, but we have no real official timelines or anything to not just yet.
Good deal. So, Steven, just keep on the lookout for any type of news of whatever. We're still having a lot of conversations in this studio, so whatever the decision comes by, just follow the Until You Fall social channels in the newsletter and the Discord as well. And whatever happens, you'll the Discord will be the first to have that information. Are you pulling out more weapons, Jesse?
I always got more pitches for new weapons.
Do you have another round you want to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
Hold on, I
gotta. See. Ready?
Hold. No, I'm not ready yet. Hold on, I gotta. Okay, I'm ready now.
All right, ready? It's a mace, but it's collapsible. So you take it out, and then you can hide it.
Okay.
But when you can, bam.
Love it.
I guess since you can already just dematerialize your weapons already, there's not much use to that.
Well, I mean, what if it's just like when you summon it and it's super, it just gets real big. So maybe it's like a kind of a normal sized mace, but then it extends.
That's its super.
Yeah.
It gets 25 feet long.
And it's really heavy.
Yeah, you just reach across and like, boom, bam, 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 bam.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
What else you got?
How about this? It's
looks like a bear trap.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
It is. It's a bear trap on a stick. So when you hit somebody with it, like bam, like it really hurts. I don't know, like say we do the mace here again. Bam! It just kind of gets you.
Sure.
What in the world?
That's just snap shut.
Then you have to spend the next 20 minutes trying to set it again.
Yeah.
That part's probably less good. But you can do it twice. You get 2 shots at it.
Yeah.
The second one's less good.
Well, I mean, maybe it's like stasis, but the weapon gets stuck in the enemy.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you bop them, but then like you need to pull it
stuck.
out.
You're like,
yeah.
Just kind of my ear.
Ow! I'm slightly inconvenienced.
Agatha comes over. She's, oh no, what have you done, champion?
Oh no.
It's
a lawsuit.
Damnable traps.
We talked about having the special like these really dangerous. This is the one I still think about. I still want to do this.
Oh man, yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Really dangerous power-ups, and it's there, and you can pick it. But the problem is when you pick it, there's a 1 in 4 chance that it's going to explode and blow your hand off. And so for the rest of that run, you don't have that hand anymore. So you've only got the other hand to work with.
But smoking ruin.
It's just like smoke coming out your sleeve there. It's it's not for everybody, but when it works, it's really powerful.
I'd give a hand for that.
I like that.
And then you find it a second time, and you're like, well, I still got the one hand. Like it might work.
And then after that, you just gotta dash around for as long as you can.
It's all dashing.
Yeah.
It's all dashing. Bam, bam. It's gonna be kind of like the Monty Python Black Knight right there. You just
what are you gonna do? Blade on me?
Yeah.
What about a headbutting mechanic? Just start headbutting people.
There you go.
Oh man.
Just have people smash into their monitors.
Yeah.
I
nerves everywhere.
So you say 1 out of every 4 chance, like 25%, your hand gets blown off.
Your hand gets blown off, but the other 3 out of 4, man, whoa, it's super.
It's
powerful.
real good.
Yeah.
I think the real challenge is gonna be finding rewards that are worth giving up potentially losing a hand for.
Well, maybe instead of it being random, maybe it's kind of more in your control. Like it's something where every time you strike, it heats up, and if it gets too hot, poof, your hand goes.
Okay.
Yeah, so like you bake it, like you power it up.
Yeah.
And like if you're like, it's kind of like like baking a grenade. Like if you want to risk holding it just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's what's I'm blanking out. What's the one where it goes up over time? Not empowered strikes. No, what's the the power you get where like it stacks every time. Like the
yeah. It's either alternating strikes or
the other one.
No, it's oh god, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's that trait though.
It's a trait and it's called
Lethal Elegance.
Lethal Elegance. Yeah,
Lethal
there you
Elegance,
go.
okay.
So it's like Lethal Elegance, but if you go one too high, boom, you lose your arm.
You got greedy.
Yeah, that's it. It's Lethal Elegance, but don't get too elegant.
Come on.
It's the lethal part of the Lethal Elegance.
Yeah. A little too lethal.
That's why you get your hand blown off.
Yep.
No, that's good. Speaking of adding content and what a 1.0 looks like, we have Impatient asking, is more content going to be released at 1.0? And if so, would it be a DLC, a game update, or as a new game?
It's hard to say right now. I think that again, the main thing we're focusing on is figuring out, hey, what optimizations do we need to do to get this running on all the minimum spec platforms on PC? What bug fixes are still there?
Look into my crystal ball, Dave.
Okay.
Let's see. It's right about there. Right about there. Look down. I'm below you, Dave. There you go. So you can see it now. There you go.
Ask again later? No. No, it's something that we're definitely aware of. Again, the whole point of the way we built the game was to be able to add new content. So it's something I know we're definitely interested in. I think really it's just going to depend on after we get the 1.0 work done and the game out there, like what do we think is the best path forward? Like I think adding new weapons, adding new enemies, stuff like that is stuff that we want to and have been talking about. So figuring out, I don't know, what is the best sustainable way to do that is our conversations that we have been having and will likely continue to have into the new year.
And I think really important to realize is like 1.0 is not the end.
Yes.
We're still trying to figure out exactly what all is going to constitute 1.0. A lot of the conversation is swirling around ports right now. Which ports are important? How hard are those ports? And then there's a question of, well, what other content do we need? What do we need to have there for 1.0? And then what do we want to have after that? Because the game totally was designed so that we could keep having more content over time. Was very much the concept and the design of it. So we're kind of figuring out a little bit at a time. And I think the question of what we figure out about the ports is going to inform a lot of where our priorities fall with adding new content.
Yeah. I mean, I think like with I Expect You to Die, we supported that for a while. And I think, I don't know, it's something that we want to take care of these games that we release. And so we do want to do right by you and also the thing we're making.
Yeah, and a big part of the key is it all has to do with how successful things are. If 1.0 comes out and everything kind of bombs out for some sad reason, it'll be a lot harder for us to be able to add content. But if it kind of gets support and people are into it and everybody's talking about it and people are buying it and playing it, then absolutely, like we're going to be in a position where it's like, yeah, of course, we got to add content to this. People are all into it. So that's going to be one of the biggest factors is the question of how much success does 1.0 have and attract that's gonna kind of lead to what exactly comes after that. But we're taking a really long view with it of we want to have more weapons, more runs, more creatures, more lore, more story, more sandwiches, everything.
Gotta get those sandwiches.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Those
But
recurring sandwiches.
Going full circle, it's kind of the research we're doing now to see what platforms we can go to feed into getting as many people as possible playing the game. So there's that kind of circle of life. It's the circle of life. This is now a musical. This is where we break out in a song.
Yeah, and to your point, like how the game is designed, like clearing all of these rooms and everything of getting to tier 1 to the tier 3, it's like a single campaign, right? So the goal is to build multiple campaigns, get more weapons, see new monsters and things of that nature. It's built very well to add more content.
Absolutely, yeah. Like it's the we wanted to make something that had legs, and we could slot something as little as new traits in, or as big as entire new campaigns. So really, we're trying to just kind of adjust what we want to add to it based off of how people are reacting to it.
Let's see. Okay, so we got another question. Jesse, what is your favorite sharp object in your office? Or office / home, maybe yeah. So Peter's asking, what's your favorite maybe what's the favorite sharp object you own or have access to?
Oh my God, I don't know. I mean, that saw blade on a stick is a favorite of mine. There's no two ways about it. I like that. Oh, you know what else though? I got let's see here. So I've got
oh boy,
I got these machetes, and when I say these machetes, right, because I have 3 of them. I have 3 of these machetes, and the thing that fascinates me about these is these have a historical provenance. These were owned by the world's unluckiest juggler. I think I can. If you look on YouTube, you can find videos of this guy on the Tonight Show juggling these. You actually see him juggling these very knives, and then sadly he went through a series of car accidents, he just had this kind of weirdly unlucky life. So I often think of these as like these may well be cursed juggling knives. So I never know what to do with them. I'm afraid, honestly, to juggle them myself because of the curse.
Yeah, you might get in a car accident.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, you don't.
I really truthfully thought that was going to go to the knife juggling juggler, cut his own hands off with his knives.
That's what you think, but that's
the thing, right? That would be really straightforward. Would be that he would have this kind of accidents. But no, that's not what happened. Instead, he had all kinds of other accidents, right? His juggling totally safe. Everything else was a problem.
Yeah. You think his hands pristine?
Yeah. Like maybe his juggling was good, but maybe he just was a bad driver.
I don't even think he was driving. He actually wrote a couple books about it because it's all about, he went through some really tough stuff, man, trying to come back from all that. I don't.
That's wild. I don't know.
Anyway, there you go. That's probably the weirdest sharp object that I have around.
Okay, Peter, I hope that answers your question.
You get what you get with a question like that, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh wait, I got one more. I've been doing leather crafting here. I don't know if you've ever. I'm fascinated with the groover. This is a tool I had not really been exposed to before, but it's all about because when you're doing leather stuff, you have to make these grooves on the edge of there, and the whole idea is you just run it alongside, and it like pulls this groove. But like if you look at it, I think I can show you it to you super close up because we got the technology. Pretty sure if you look right up here, see how it's got this little hole on this little arm right here?
Oh yeah.
Like that thing is super sharp, and so you scrape it, you like run this thing along the edge of the leather, and it just like the surface of the leather comes up through this hole, and it just kind of scoops it off like a I don't know, like you're cutting salami or something like that. And it's just so, I don't know, it's just a really cool tool to use.
Okay.
Anyway,
do you think that's how the Unraveler made?
Oh, maybe.
someone went.
Maybe. Who knows? I want to know what tools Agatha is using up there in her forge. When are we going to show the forge?
It's real. It's underground. It's under you. Just gotta jump off the ledge if you can figure out how to get over that ledge.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I want to see. I want to see all that stuff. What Agatha's up to over there. I've always wanted to make a blacksmithing game. We tried to do that for Jam Week one year, blacksmithing game, but it'll be a sequel or a prequel or a sidequel or something.
My craft game is I've always wanted to do a lathe game where you have a piece of wood spinning in front of you and you just have to grab your different tools and.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
DLC with different types of wood.
All right, so we have
some candlesticks or something.
Pin it out right there. Make yourself a little wooden awl or something. Right there.
Ooh, I'm in all.
Wow.
Oh my
Sorry.
goodness. Okay. We just have a couple of minutes left. So we have a couple of minutes left, guys. So if you have any questions that haven't been answered yet, please get them in. But we haven't talked about the soundtrack at all. So,
Hi, Joey.
Oh yeah.
So Joey, if you want to give us a rundown of how many songs, what's the listening time, and maybe one of your favorite tracks.
Yeah. So the soundtrack, wow, what a journey. We worked on that for a while for you guys. And there was a team of, at least 6 or 7 people consistently, plus feedback from kind of the whole studio. And there's, we have 10 songs. Yeah, 10 songs. And we're over right around 63 minutes of music, which is a lot of music. And it's awesome. My personal favorite is Neon Nightmare. Just because it just resonates, high energy. But there's a lot of different music on there. We have range from some nice soft ambient music that you might hear in the Rune Forge at the game, and then you have some pretty intense music that you're hearing during your final boss fights. And I think it's a really special opportunity to be able to hear that music in a vacuum outside of the game, and I think it lets people really have a different appreciation for it. Because they are slightly different mixes, right? You're hearing, They are different deliveries. So the music that's in the game isn't exactly the music that's on the soundtrack. The music on the soundtrack is crafted specifically to be listened to in a vacuum, not in the game or anything like that. So definitely give it the chance, because you're going to hear some nuances and some things come out that you don't hear often in the game.
But Joey, how much does it cost?
It is free $99.
Oh yeah.
5-finger discount if that applies.
Right.
I think that's about stealing, actually. So
do I have to have a VR system to listen to this soundtrack?
No, you don't. You can get it on Steam. You can get it on Spotify. You can get it on Google Play. You can get it on what was the name? There's one that I've never heard of.
Deezer.
Yeah,
no,
Deezer.
Well, Deezer, but then it's like Hamanji or something like that. I think it's a foreign platform that's not very popular in the US. So if you've heard of Hamanji or Hamandi, drop it in the comments.
Sure, that's Jumanji. Could that be it?
But yeah, so you can get it almost anywhere. You can download it from the Steam store, stream it, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music.
Yeah, YouTube.
I really think that almost anywhere you listen to music, that you could find our soundtrack.
You should be, especially at this point.
On Tidal, which I was surprised that we got on Tidal. So that's
cool. Tidal, and even definitely, just so you know, if you see it in the iTunes store, we weren't able to list it for free on the iTunes store, at least not yet. There was just some kind of restrictions there, but you can get it for free on Steam. So, feel free to just head over to Steam and download it. There's 2 downloadable versions, MP3 and Waves, and I believe it downloads with the album art. You can download the album art, right?
Yep.
So
it comes bundled with it, or you can download it just from the Steam page.
Yeah, so download it there, put it in whatever player you use if you're not streaming, and enjoy. Let us know how you like it. Let us know your favorite song.
Okay, Jesse, Dave, do you guys have a favorite song?
I think so. It's funny because it was the song I heard the most, so I got sick of it. But now that it's like in its own thing, I'm back into it. Verdant Wasteland, the Tier 1 song. I think that song, I don't know, for whatever reason, that always, like, it was the first one. It always has a special place in my heart as kind of it's the song that helped us kind of start finding the style. And so I think there's a lot of that bundled in there, but also it just slaps. So it's just good. It's just,
yeah.
What's the Tier 3 song called?
Relentless. No, that's not Relentless Fury.
Is it? Yeah.
Relentless Fury.
Fury, yeah. That's Tier 3.
Yeah. I think that one might be my favorite. Yeah. I think partly just because I have such an association with it of like, oh my God, now I'm gonna get my head handed to me.
Yeah.
So that was exciting.
But I also really enjoy Rise Again and what's the other hub track that album?
RuneSmith's Call.
RuneSmith's Call, because they're really laid back tracks that give you a really nice contrast to like that hectic high energy soundtrack of the game.
Yeah,
I think
Ruthless Call's pretty chill.
yeah, I think those the whole album highlights it, but I think those two songs in specific really highlight the composer Dan Cohen's, just ability and to write in different genres because they're really a lot very different styles. Not styles, but the.
Yeah, I mean, even the difference between like tier 1 to tier 3, like tier 3, we end up like tier 1's kind of the more straightforward kind of rock synth wavy kind of thing, and then by tier 3, you get a lot more of the kind of distortion and electronica kind of aspects of it, and so it's like this weird blend of synthwave, dance, rock, and it's I know, and when we were talking about it way back when, it's like we tried to have like, okay, this is the Rokari theme of like these are the instruments that the Rokari represent, and then the Aether Horror's corruption is kind of coming in as this electronica kind of weirdness, and so trying to like balance those out, and the further you get into the campaign, the weirder and more electronic the music gets, and so I know that would like, it's so like, I don't know, it's just real cool.
Yeah, it is cool to hear that progression if you have the time to listen to the album in its entirety, because you really get the storyline, the progression the music takes. But yeah, besides that, when I listen to it when I exercise a lot, I usually start at tier 2. I just start right in there and get it going.
All right, so we have a couple more questions in like 4 minutes. So let's wrap things up. Mr. Invisible asked, what are big changes needed for 1.0? We already talked about what kind of port questions we're talking about, but you mentioned some things in your patch notes, I believe, that you guys were looking into.
Yeah, we're looking into stuff again aside from bug fixes and optimizations. We're looking at achievements. There's some particular types of attacks, specifically lunge attacks, that I know I want to address before we get out of 1.0. It's those really frustrating attacks where the captain jumps at you, you try to get back, where it's like, you didn't get me, and then you still get got anyway. Really, again, finding those rough edges where there are attacks where you really should have not been hit, but you still get hit anyway. But yeah, I mean, those are the big things, and then there's also just smaller quality of life stuff that we're looking into. Again, balance tweaks. We're watching how players are doing when they're starting off the game, and just kind of overall progression and how long it takes players to get to the end game. So it's the stuff that requires a lot more delicate touch.
Yep.
Good deal. Let's see. Jesse, I'll give you this question from Philip. Do you have any feelings on how this remote work period may impact the VR industry going forward, or what about its lasting effects to Schell games?
Oh, I mean, so yeah, I think so far it seems like the quarantine has been very VR positive. VR headsets have really been selling faster during this time period. People have been trying more to get them. I think it's given people a lot of time to start experimenting with VR, and people are realizing, wow, like how cool it really is. So I think it's building the audience for it. So that's a huge plus. And as for Schell Games, it's certainly forcing us to experiment with techniques for remote work and working from home. And that may have some lasting changes for us. We're not sure what those are yet, but that it's totally possible that working from home may become a more normal thing long term for us. We'll see.
Good deal. Well, we will see any more questions coming through. No. So we will end it there. So thank you everybody for watching our first virtual dinner with the devs. We hope everything came through well. If there are any feedback for us, please leave it in the live chat for us to gather, and we'll if we have to do this again in May, we'll make sure that we can adjust it. We hope we don't have to, but we'll see. We don't know. What states are opening this week? Oh, nice, Dave. Things are opening up this week, so we'll see what happens. Again, we have some. We're adding up different videos and things on our channel, so please subscribe to make sure that you catch those updates. Our next dinner with the devs will be either virtual or physical in May 27th after that Memorial Day weekend. And yeah, follow Until You Fall on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and especially join our Discord and our newsletter. Our newsletter and our Discord are the two places where we get send the information first. So if you want to be the first to know and to find out more about the Monk of Okar and what that crazy run looks like, take a look. We have monthly and weekly challenges in the Discord as well. We just started the catastrophe. Thank you, Dave, for that question or for that challenge name. And we have some exciting challenges coming in May. So again, Dave, Joey, Jesse, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Mac, thank you he's been our tech guy behind the scenes. Our live chat folks, thank you for moderating, and we will see you next month.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, folks. Thanks for watching.
Check it out on Spotify and streaming everywhere.
Smash that like button.